Hi, I'm shooting this in the car because I just had this on my mind. I want to say this. The thing about entrepreneurship is you have to stay in it long enough to see the cycles repeat themselves. Entrepreneurship is so hard because you're forced to deal with so much at once, all the time, and the way it works is there's no safe zone. Most of the time, most of what you try doesn't work. And so it's trying, and then eventually, if you don't quit there, something will work. And you watching this, maybe if you're new to the game, we all start somewhere and you think, oh, when I get this to work, then all these good things are gonna start to happen and it will all just start clicking. But what really happens is you try, it's not working, you basically wanna quit, and then something finally does work that you want to work, and then you think, oh, it's all smooth sailing, and then after that thing works, new problems arise, new challenges, new people, new things happen, and you're either trying to make something work and it's not working, or something does work and you have to either deal with whatever comes up after that, or you have to then protect what you've just created because someone else is going to try to take your position, or because this new thing that you've gotten to finally succeed has cracks in it that you never saw before, flaws. There's no easy way to do this thing. And the only way that you can, let's just say, regulate your emotions around this is to just do it for long enough where, in a way, you become stoic. You become a bit callous. Not that you don't have emotions, but it's just that the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low. I've been doing this, I've been completely independent, whether it's like self-employed or owning a business, which are not the same thing, but self-employed or a business owner since 2013. So 12 years now. And I can just tell you that the biggest advantage I have to being in the game over a decade now is just seeing the cycles. Ray Dalio says it in his book, Principles. He says, oh, there's just another one of those again. You start to learn the cycles of things and you start to realize, oh, well, if I have a big win, it's not as big as you might think it is because all these things come after that. And if I have a big loss, it's not as bad as you think it is because ultimately you'll recover. If you're in this over 10 years, you'll see, oh, it's okay. I can recover from this. It doesn't make it any more fun to deal with the challenges, and it doesn't make the successes any less valuable. But a lot of times I'll have, friends or family, they'll be like, oh, why don't you celebrate your wins more? Why don't you really appreciate your wins? And I think there's obviously some wisdom to that. But the reason why I'm not always cheering whenever I have a success is I'm just like, this success is just going to create more challenges down the road, and I already see what they are. And that's not that I'm not happy for winning. And the same thing with the losses. I don't beat myself up too much for the losses because I'm like, every day there's something you're losing every day, in business. And not to say that it's not about me personally, it's about just business is always a game of, it's a constant, never ending, endless game. And so you learn to regulate your emotions where you're not too happy or too sad about anything that's happening, and you're just following a plan. And the only way you can do that is kind of just going through the cycle of seeing things go up and down. I've made so much money over the years. I'm not saying, oh, I'm the biggest boss or whatever, but I've made a lot of money and I've lost a lot of money, and I've been really happy and I've been really sad, and I've had big wins and big losses, and I've had deals that almost closed and oh God, they didn't close. It was so devastating, and I'm still here. And all that to say, yeah, entrepreneurship will turn you into a stoic, and that's okay. That's okay. We got to learn to embrace that. And just know it's part of the game, So that's all I want to say today. If you're in the journey right now, keep going. If you're thinking about joining the journey, just realize that whatever you think is the reward of the journey, it's probably not something that's at the end of the journey. It's probably being on it, which is so freaking cliche. Oh, the real reward is the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey. Oh, we've all heard that, but that's really kind of the truth, because even your biggest wins aren't the end, and you don't win forever. And the higher you go, the faster and harder you fall a lot of times. So there's no safe zone. And that's why the most successful entrepreneurs, and when I say successful, I really just mean the ones who make the most money. I don't necessarily mean the happiest ones, but I mean in terms of the most money being made, the biggest entrepreneurs are the ones who are constantly paranoid. Andy Grove, former CEO of IBM, said it best. He said, only the paranoid survive. And that is the mentality that lifelong entrepreneurs have. It's a constant paranoia. It's a constant in motion of the brain. It's a constant never-ending game, and you would only play that game then because you like it, not because you want it to win and be over with, but because you actually like the process of playing it, and you get joy from that. And you get joy from seeing a plan executed, seeing something well thought out, executed, overcoming the hurdles, and then telling the story about that and living to fight another day. That's my sermon for the day. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.